Michael Jackson fans are witnessing something nobody expected, because what started as curiosity about a biopic has transformed into one of the most shocking entertainment stories of the year. The movie Michael has sparked massive reactions, but the real headline is Jaafar Jackson. Viewers went in wondering whether anyone could possibly portray the king of pop convincingly, and many are walking out saying something almost unbelievable. He didn't just play Michael Jackson, he seemed to become him. For longtime fans who thought no actor could ever capture that magic, this feels almost unreal. And that is exactly why this story has exploded. When the first images of Jaafar in costume appeared, people were already stunned. The resemblance was eerie. The posture, the silhouette, the expression in his eyes. It felt familiar in a way that was almost emotional, but people assumed makeup and styling were doing most of the work. Then rehearsal clips and behind-the-scenes footage began circulating, and suddenly the conversation changed completely. Fans started saying this wasn't just resemblance anymore. This was transformation. And once footage from the film started surfacing, social media erupted. People weren't casually reacting, they were obsessing. Every frame was dissected, every move compared to the real Michael. Every performance sequence was replayed over and over. Comments flooded in saying they had chills. Some said they forgot they were watching an actor. Others claimed they had never seen a musical performance recreated this convincingly on film. The hype stopped feeling like promotion and started feeling like a phenomenon. What makes this even more fascinating is that Jaafar Jackson didn't enter this story as a massive Hollywood actor. He came in carrying one of the riskiest roles imaginable. Playing Michael Jackson is not just playing a celebrity, it's stepping into the life of a global myth. Millions know every move he made, every note he sang, every iconic performance. The expectations were impossible, the pressure was enormous, and somehow, against all odds, people are saying he delivered. And the emotional layer behind it makes the story even bigger. This isn't a random actor playing a legend. This is Michael Jackson's own nephew, the son of Jermaine Jackson, someone who grew up around that legacy, someone who understands the energy, the family, the history, and maybe even pieces of Michael the world never saw. For many fans, that makes this feel less like casting and more like fate. One of the biggest reasons audiences are reacting so strongly is because the film reportedly doesn't hold back on scale. This isn't some modest tribute film. It aims to feel epic, massive concert recreations, career-defining moments brought back to life, iconic eras revisited, the rise of a child star becoming a cultural revolution. And through it all, Jaafar is carrying that enormous emotional weight on his shoulders. And let's be honest, people had doubts, huge doubts. Some believed nobody should even attempt a Michael Jackson biopic. Others feared it would become imitation instead of tribute. There were skeptics who assumed the film would rely on nostalgia and little else. But now, many of those same doubters are among the loudest voices praising Jaafar's performance. That turnaround alone has become part of the story. Fans are especially losing their minds over the performance recreations. That's where many thought the film would fail, because how do you recreate Michael Jackson dancing without looking like a parody? How do you touch something so iconic without falling short? But reactions suggest some sequences are so detailed and intense, they feel almost like watching lost footage. That has left audiences stunned. And people keep saying the same thing. It's in the details, the hand movements, the turns, the pauses, the way he controls the stage, the mysterious stillness Michael had before erupting into movement. Those things can't be faked easily. Fans notice that instantly. Yet many say Jaafar somehow captured those tiny details in a way that feels almost impossible. But the shock doesn't stop with the performance. The movie itself has become a giant talking point. People expected interest. They didn't expect this level of frenzy. Conversations about the film are everywhere. Celebrity outlets can't stop covering it. Fan pages are exploding. Debate videos are everywhere. Reactions keep pouring in, and every day the buzz seems to get even louder. Part of what makes this story so gripping is the long road it took to get here. This project faced rumors, delays, rewrites, speculation, and endless scrutiny. At times, people wondered whether it would live up to expectations. Some wondered whether it could survive the pressure surrounding a figure as complicated and iconic as Michael Jackson. But now, many are saying all that pressure may have pushed the filmmakers to make something much bigger. And then there's the emotional reaction from longtime Michael fans. This may be one of the most powerful parts of the whole story. People who grew up idolizing him are saying they cried watching certain scenes. Some say they felt transported back to childhood. Others say they left the theater overwhelmed because they didn't expect a film to revive that emotional connection. That kind of response cannot be manufactured. You also have younger audiences discovering Michael Jackson through this film, and that is becoming a huge story of its own. A whole generation that didn't experience his peak is now diving into his music, performances, and history because of this movie. Streams are surging. Old performances are going viral again. Classic songs are resurfacing everywhere. The film isn't just revisiting a legend, it may be reintroducing one. And Jaafar Jackson is suddenly at the center of all of it. Imagine stepping into your first major role and finding yourself carrying the legacy of one of the most famous entertainers in human history. That alone sounds impossible. Yet people are already discussing awards potential, career-changing momentum, and whether this role launches Jaafar into stardom overnight. But perhaps the wildest part is how many people keep describing the portrayal in almost spiritual terms. They say it feels eerie. They say it feels haunting. They say moments in the film made them forget where tribute ended and embodiment began. That kind of language is rare. People don't normally talk about performances this way. That's why so many are calling this shocking. And of course, with a Michael Jackson story, controversy is never far away. There are debates, there are critics, there are discussions about what was included and what wasn't. And yet, even that has fed the film's momentum, because the more people debate it, the more curious others become. The conversation only grows, and in Hollywood, controversy often fuels legend. Some viewers are calling this the greatest music biopic ever attempted. That's a huge statement, but it shows how passionate reactions have become. Others are more cautious, but still agree on one thing: Jaafar's performance is something extraordinary. Even people divided on the film overall often unite in praising him. That kind of consensus is rare. Another reason audiences are so captivated is because Michael Jackson was never just a musician. He was a spectacle. He was mystery. He was obsession. He was genius and controversy and vulnerability all at once. Portraying that complexity is far harder than mimicking a voice or recreating choreography, and many believe the film understands that. There's also huge fascination around how Jaafar prepared. Fans are obsessed with stories of intense rehearsal, studying footage endlessly, perfecting movement, and immersing himself in Michael's performance psychology. Because for many people, what they're seeing doesn't look like ordinary acting preparation. It looks like devotion. And honestly, maybe that devotion is what audiences are responding to, because viewers can tell when a performance is built on imitation and when it comes from something deeper. They feel the difference, and many believe Jaafar tapped into something deeper. That may be why the response has become so emotional. What's especially dramatic is how fast the narrative shifted. At first, it was, can anyone pull this off? Then it became, maybe this could be interesting. Then suddenly it turned into, wait, is this actually incredible? That kind of momentum is rare. It feels like people are watching a star being born in real time. There's also growing speculation this film could become even bigger than anyone expected. Some fans already want follow-ups. Others want expanded stories about later eras of Michael's life. Some are even imagining this as the start of a larger cinematic legacy. That's how much enthusiasm has exploded. And let's talk about why the title alone carries enormous weight. Calling a film Michael is bold. It signals ambition. It says this isn't just about headlines or scandal. It's aiming to tell the story of the man behind the myth. That alone raised expectations sky high. Yet many viewers feel the film rises to that challenge. One reason reactions are so dramatic is because Michael Jackson occupies a unique place in culture. He wasn't merely famous, he was globally mythic. There may never be another artist like him, which means portraying him carries almost impossible emotional stakes. If you fail, the world notices. If you succeed, it becomes history. That's why Jaafar's reception feels so massive. Some fans say the concert sequences are the closest thing they've felt to seeing Michael live again. Think about how emotional that is. For people who grew up watching those performances, that's not casual praise, that's profound. That kind of reaction explains why so many viewers are calling this movie an experience, not just a film. And the public reactions online have been pure wildfire. People posting stunned theater reactions, fans analyzing scenes frame by frame, comparisons with real performances going viral, reaction videos with people genuinely emotional. It has become one of those entertainment stories that keeps feeding itself because audiences can't stop talking. Even those who only know Michael Jackson by reputation are being pulled in by the spectacle of this story because beyond music, this has become about legacy, family, transformation, and impossible expectations. Those themes resonate even if someone isn't a diehard fan. That gives the story huge crossover appeal. And there's something almost poetic in watching Michael's own bloodline carry his story onto the big screen. That symbolism has captured imaginations. People keep calling it full circle. Some even describe it as the Jackson legacy continuing in a way nobody anticipated. That emotional narrative is adding even more fascination. There's also serious buzz around whether this could reshape how celebrity biopics are judged, because if audiences embrace this at the level some are predicting, expectations for every future music biopic may change. Suddenly, the bar moves. Suddenly, audiences demand deeper transformation. That would be a major cultural impact. And what makes the whole thing feel even more dramatic is the idea that Jaafar wasn't originally a giant public figure. He emerged into this storm almost unexpectedly, and now people are calling him one of the biggest breakout stories in entertainment. That kind of rise always captures public imagination. Some viewers say the film reminded them why Michael Jackson became untouchable as a performer. Others say it made them revisit his artistry with fresh appreciation. That's another powerful effect. The movie isn't just sparking reactions to itself, it's reigniting conversations about Michael's genius. And maybe that is the deepest reason this story has exploded. It taps into nostalgia, fascination, and surprise all at once. Nostalgia for the legend, fascination with the transformation, surprise that a biopic many approached cautiously is generating this much awe. Those ingredients together create something bigger than ordinary movie buzz. There's also the simple shock factor. Nobody expected one performance to dominate headlines this much. Nobody expected Jaafar Jackson to become this talked about this quickly. And nobody expected people to seriously discuss whether one of the most impossible roles in Hollywood may have been nailed. And yes, critics have different opinions. Some love the film, some have reservations. But even disagreement is feeding momentum, because polarizing films often become cultural events. They demand discussion, they linger, they refuse to be ignored. That seems to be happening here. For many fans, one of the most moving aspects is imagining what Michael himself might think seeing his nephew embody him this way. That emotional thought has surfaced again and again online. Whether sentimental or speculative, it shows how personal this has become for audiences. And if you look at entertainment history, truly shocking biopic moments are rare. Usually, audiences praise performances, then move on. But occasionally, a portrayal hits deeper and becomes part of pop culture itself. Many believe Jaafar's turn as Michael could be one of those moments. Some are already calling this a career-defining role before Jaafar's career has even begun. That says everything. When a debut performance generates that kind of language, something unusual is happening. It means people feel they're witnessing more than hype. And let's not ignore the sheer pressure of recreating iconic moments associated with someone often called the greatest entertainer ever. The moonwalk alone carries impossible expectations, yet audiences are reacting like those moments deliver. That is no small feat. The bigger this gets, the more one question keeps emerging. What does this mean for Jaafar Jackson going forward? Is this a one-time miracle performance? The start of a major acting career? A new generation star born through legacy? That mystery only adds more intrigue. And for Michael Jackson's legacy, this film could mark another huge chapter, not just remembrance, but resurgence. Because when a story reintroduces a legend to millions, it doesn't simply preserve legacy, it expands it. There's also growing fascination with whether this film changes public conversation around Michael himself. Great biopics often reopen cultural debates, challenge assumptions, and spark re-evaluation. That may be happening already. Some fans are saying the most shocking thing isn't that the movie is successful, it's that they made them feel something they thought was gone. Awe, wonder, excitement around Michael Jackson again. For many, that's bigger than box office or reviews. And perhaps the ultimate shock is simple. People expected a tribute. What they feel they got was an event, something larger, something emotional, something that may leave a mark. The story now feels bigger than one film. It feels like a moment, one of those rare entertainment moments where everything converges. Legacy, controversy, performance, nostalgia, and surprise. Those moments don't come often. And through it all, Jaafar Jackson has gone from question mark to sensation, from risky casting choice to headline, from Michael's nephew to the man many say brought the king of pop back to life on screen. Whether this becomes an awards giant, a long-running franchise, or simply one unforgettable cultural moment, one thing seems clear: people are stunned. Fans are emotional, the conversation is massive, and Jaafar Jackson has become the center of one of the biggest celebrity shocks in recent memory. Maybe the ultimate twist is that a film about one legend may have launched another, because while audiences came to see Michael Jackson's story, many are leaving talking just as much about Jaafar Jackson's future. And isn't that the kind of Hollywood twist nobody saw coming? A biopic meant to honor a king, unexpectedly crowning a new star. So now the question is not whether the Michael biopic shocked fans. It clearly did. The question now is how much bigger this phenomenon can get. Will it dominate awards season? Will it become the defining music biopic of a generation? Will Jaafar Jackson become one of Hollywood's biggest breakout names? And could this be only the beginning of an even bigger Michael Jackson cinematic legacy? Those questions have fans obsessed right now, because one thing audiences seem to agree on is this: they expected a movie, they didn't expect a cultural earthquake. And maybe that's the perfect way to describe what's happening. Not a comeback, not just a tribute, a shockwave. The king of pop's story is lighting up screens again. His music is surging, his legacy feels alive. And at the center of it all is Jaafar Jackson, stunning audiences by doing what many believed impossible. He didn't just step into Michael Jackson's shoes, he moonwalked straight into one of the most talked about celebrity moments of the year. And if this is only the beginning, fans may be witnessing something even bigger than a successful biopic. They may be watching the birth of a phenomenon. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.